Hi everybody, this is Patty Sliney, Handy Quilter National Educator, and we had another interesting question and request out there on one of our Facebook Pro Stitcher groups, and it was how to put a design into a quilt block, but be able to crop away like the middle of the quilt block. Let's say you've got a block that's got an applique or an embroidery design in the middle, and you don't want to stitch over it. What's the best way to fill out the background of your quilt block and not end up with a design that's got maybe cropped out in the middle and a bunch of overstitching? So there are some specially digitized designs out there that you can use to fill in the background of a quilt block and not have any overstitching where you're going to crop around your center design. They're called trim blocks. Some digitizers will call them background fills, but they're block designs that are specially digitized in a way so when you crop, you create an area in the center and you crop inside that area and close edges. Edges will close all evenly with either no overstitching or very little overstitching. So they're pretty interesting designs, and they work really great for trying to fill in the background. And when I open it, I'll show you what makes them special and how they can have the edges closed and not have any overstitching. So you can see I've got a block here that I've created my area for. It's a 13 by 13 quilt block, and my quilt block has a little bunny applique in the middle. So I want to not stitch over the bunny. So I'm going to go ahead and use one of my trim blocks that I have, and several digitizers provide these. The one I'm using is from Wasatch Quilting. ProStitcher.com's got a whole bunch of them, several collections of them, in fact. Sweet Dreams Quilt Studio has them. And I think Anita Shackelford's another digitizer that has lots of trim blocks. Wasatch calls them background fills, but it's the same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and open that design. And again, this is from Wasatch Quilting. And first I'm going to go ahead and get this design to fill my area. Now this design is just about 12 by 12, so it's a little smaller than my area. So the easiest way to make this fit is to go to Modify and use Skew. And I can probably use just regular Skew. Let's refresh and get zoomed in a little. And that fit perfectly and didn't do anything weird. I like how it looks. Everything is perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and baseline this. Really important that you baseline. If you do not baseline and you clear your area, which you're going to have to do because you're going to create a new area around the bunny, if you don't baseline and you clear this original area, this design is going to pop back to its original size and location. So let's baseline that modification. So that freezes my changes, redigitizes this design just as though it were digitized this way to start with. So now we can safely go to the area tab and clear that original area I made for my block. And I'm going to go ahead, and I'm doing this in Pro Stitcher Premium. So I have the advantage of having area library. If you have version 537 or newer installed for Pro Stitcher Premium, you are given an entire area library. Don't know if you're aware of that or not. And you can open that up either by going to File, Area, Open, or you can go to the Area tab, File, Open. And you can browse to your areas library, which you can see is right here above the designs. Remember, everything's listed alphabetically in Windows. So let's select our areas folder. And I'm going to use this oval area. So let's open it up. Okay, so you can see it's not in the right aspect and it's probably going to be too small. No problem. I'm going to select it, and I don't know if you realize this. Let's go over to the workspace. I'm going to touch my oval area to select it, and that deselects all the designs and selects my area. And you know my area is selected because it's teal. Did you know that if you have an area selected, you can use many of your modification tools on the area, such as rotate. So let's rotate this so it's in the right aspect. And then let's reposition it to my needle, which happens to be right in the middle of the design. So I can go ahead and touch center, and that will center my area, and I can resize it. Now, I happen to do some playing around, and I kind of know if I resize the height, I think to 8 is what I came up with. And I turn my lock off so I can resize each aspect separately. And if I make this, I think 5, there we go. That creates an area that pretty much, I'm going to go ahead and go to my workspace tab and select my bunny so you can see it a little bit better. You can see my bunny is nicely circled by my oval area. And I like where it's positioned. It looks in the middle of my block. None of my bunny is going to get encroached by stitches. So this area I have is just perfect. So again, I was able to use my modification tools if I selected my area, and I got it centered by placing my crosshairs right in the middle of the block, which you can do on your machine. And then I just used reposition and center, and that will center the selected area to my crosshairs. So that's how I got my area centered. I just went through that step pretty quickly, and I just wanted to make sure that was clear. Okay, so now let's go back to the workspace tab and let's select our background block, our trim block, because that's what we want to crop away. And now you can see my area is reverted back to pink. It's no longer selected. And we know that my background block is selected because of two things, because it's black on the screen and because in my right sidebar workspace tab, it's green. Remember, green means active or on. All right, so now let's crop all of these rays that are falling inside the area. So if we go to modify crop and I crop inside and then I close my edges, I'm going to hide my area. And look at that. Isn't that so nice? That's the beauty of a trim block. And the reason that this happens is because these blocks are digitized by starting in the center and going out to the perimeter and then back to the center and out to the perimeter, center, perimeter, center, perimeter, center, perimeter, all the way around like that. And by having that stitching path, going in and out, in and out, in and out. When you crop the center of one of these trim blocks and close the edges, because of the stitching path, it allows those edges to close without overstitching. So I'm pretty happy with that. I can baseline it, and baseline is available. If baseline were not available, let me undo that. If for some reason baseline were not available, and you know you need to baseline it because you modified it, you cropped it. If you choose select none and then go over here and choose the design, that should make baseline show as available for you. So then you can baseline it. So that is how you use a trim block. And two areas, your original area to set your trim block in, baseline that. However you set it in, you can use skew, you can use resize, you can use align. Skew worked really well, just one step click. Once you have got your trim block fitted into your area, you baseline it, and that allows you to clear your original area so you can create your cropping area. And remember, we have got this giant library of area designs that came with version 537. So sometimes you'll see people say on social media, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm not a proponent of that statement because updating Pro Stitcher can get you some pretty cool things like an entire area library. So I hope this helps. Hope it's fun. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to post on social media. You have happy quilting.